always shout out Todd because like a lot of people might not know how long you've been in the game for. I mean, Todd, you've been in the game since day one, and not a lot of people might not know it. It's to me, you know, when I see all these guys in the game, I always, you know, I just go, man, you don't know what the game is about because you ain't even been in it. And when I see guys like you involved, still involved, and like these new jacks come in, like they may not give you your respect, and they need to give you your respect because you've been in the game just as long as anybody. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if y'all out there, y'all gotta recognize Todd been in the game since day one.
All right, so it's Todd Atkins, and back. It's going to be an interesting show today. I got Steve Hordinski, who's a guy that was stationed at Pearl Harbor at the same time I was. I'm not sure how many years, but we'll get into that. And as always, people, I appreciate checking out these episodes. And Steve, for anyone who may not be familiar with you, maybe you could introduce yourself a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. First off, thanks for having me on the show. I love getting out there, meeting people, talking to people about, kind of what we do on the map, but more importantly, what we do in the world of transformation through the power of jiu-jitsu. So I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. I think almost 29 years now. I was stationed in the Navy, like you said. I was started off in San Diego, got home ported in Hawaii, and found jiu-jitsu, and it kind of changed the course of my life. But I was out there, I got in the military in 1994, started jiu-jitsu in 1997. I was in Hawaii from 95 to I think '05 when I left, right? So yeah, a long time out there. Um, I've been running my school here in Colorado, Cathedral Training Center. I've been running Jiu-Jitsu Academy for about 15 years. Have a lot of students, have a few affiliates. Love Jiu-Jitsu, but I still have that military in me, so I stay more on the tactical side of Jiu-Jitsu, like and also the fighting side of Jiu-Jitsu. I try to keep it as real and as rooted in that Gracie lineage that I came up with in Hawaii. So, you know, yeah, so been doing it for a long time. Just kind of a guy who loves Jiu-Jitsu and love the people that I've met through Jiu-Jitsu. So, yeah.
And I came across Steve on TikTok actually, and I recognized his name. I saw he was making some cool stuff as far as moves, techniques, philosophies. And I was like, I know this guy is. I'm gonna see if he wants to come on my show. So maybe talk about how you just first got into jiu-jitsu when you were in Hawaii.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, let's see. I always done martial arts. I was always fascinated with the martial arts since I was a kid. Grew up watching Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, all the action stars. I think that's kind of what made me who I am today. Is like I grew up with these kind of role models, like Chuck Norris kicking people, and yeah, Arnold doing like commando stuff, and then Rambo, all that. So I got really into like just being like, what is it like to be a kind of a dude, a tough dude growing up. So I went to martial arts. I gravitated towards like the Bruce Lee kind of stuff, and so I trained martial arts when I was a kid. And I studied Kenpo Karate, got my black belt there, and I went in the military, right? So when I got into the military, it was like I was 18 years old. I didn't have any friends. I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like out there by myself. So I'm gonna latch onto my martial arts. So I didn't really find anything until let's see, I got into the Navy in '94, '95. I was on my ship. I didn't find anything that kind of grounded me until 1997. Prior to that, I was just getting in trouble. I was angry because I had ambitions of going into like special operations and stuff like that. But I realized once I got there, it wasn't going to be like that. It wasn't going to happen right away. If it was going to happen at all, it was going to take some work. So I was like, of course, the classic story: the recruiter lied to me. Well, he didn't lie to me. He just didn't tell me the whole truth. He kind of just let me know that you'll be able to get into something. I was like, all right, cool. And so I was pissed off, man. I was angry, lost, and I got real grounded to my martial arts again. And it was through just practicing my Kenpo Karate. And then I was like, man, I got to start training and start getting into this, getting into my the life that I had before I went in the military. I was still working out, but it wasn't until I ran into Phil Cardella in 1997 that I actually had my first physical exposure to jiu-jitsu, you know. I mean, I saw UFC happen in 1993 here in Colorado. And so, but I was not one of those believers. I was like, this is bullshit. It's not going to fucking work on me. There's no way. There's no way this is going to happen. I was like, and I talked to my Kenpo Karate instructor at the time. And he said, well, we'll just work on this. He was like, I could teach you to do that and not get taken down and stuff like that, you know? So I was like, I was into it. But I wasn't a believer until I experienced it. Like once I experienced that first time when I was like, all right, this dude just beat me up and he didn't really try. And if he was trying, I'd be in a world of hurt. And so at that moment, and you know, like you see those Gracie in action old videos. I don't know if you've seen those, but
Oh yeah.
those are great, right?
Yeah.
How it was back in the day. Well, we were doing that. And I was one of those guys on the receiving end of that. But I only needed it to be done to me one time to realize that like this shit was legit. So I started right away. 1997. I was on deployment. We were doing like a carrot cruise, 4 months. We had some Marines on board, and they were training jiu-jitsu in the tank deck. I went down there, wanted to throw down a little bit, see what it was about, and that was the day that kind of put me on this path where I'm at, 29 years later,
So
So
was Phil one of those guys, or where did you come across him?
Phil Cardella, he was he's a Helsing guy. He's
Right.
a Helsing guy. We well, how it happened is like some of the people who knew me from being on a ship were like, oh, this guy trains all the time. He does martial arts. And they saw some Marines training down in the tank deck. They had some mats. They say, hey, you should go down there. It looks like what you're into. And they're doing some martial arts. You might enjoy it. So I was like, well, who's the guy? Oh, it's that dude right there. So I pointed at Phil Cardella and I went over to talk to him. He invited me down there, and he was real nice, and he was a little cocky. So I was like, "That's." I
Yeah.
was already still training, so I thought maybe I'd do pretty good, and I did not do pretty good. So it was like it turns out I thought he was brand new at jiu-jitsu pretty much too. He had a little bit of head start on me, but like it was so effective. I thought he was a black belt in jiu-jitsu at first, because of how easily he whooped my ass. Then I found out he was a white belt in jiu-jitsu, and he beat me up that bad. I was like, man, this is pretty crazy. So immediately I knew I had to do it. I was like, if there's people out there that know this and I don't know this, I'm at a severe disadvantage.
Right.
You know what I mean? And prior to that, I remember I had just started jujitsu, and I remember we were on deployment, and we went out. Of course, being in the Navy, you always go out, check out the ports, go out to the clubs with your friends and stuff like that because you're on deployment, right? I was young, and I remember being at this place, and there was this Brazilian guy there, this Brazilian kid, and he was little. But I thought to myself, if that guy knows jujitsu, he's probably pretty dangerous. Sure enough, I look at his ears, all collar fired up. I was like, man, they're too many. I gotta learn this. This is too dangerous. It's like a superpower that I could develop.
Right.
So I was like, well, from that moment on, I started jujitsu.
They
Never
were like
stopped.
training at Helson's main academy. Is that where you were going?
Well, at first it was just a deployment. We are four
Oh.
months. We were 4 months out to sea. So most of that time was like 2 days training down in the tank deck, learning jujitsu. So when I got back, I went to where Phil was training, which was Chris and Mike on Zuka. That the O2, I
Hmm.
think they still have their school out there. But yeah, I started with Chris and Mike on Zuka when they were at the gymnastics place in Pearl City. Remember that? I don't know if you remember
Hmm.
that, but yeah. Back then, when the carpet matted floors, I learned to not. Hey, that's how you learn how to play on your toes. Training at a place like that where it's carpet floors that are padded, because you can't scrape your knees across that. That is not fun. So that's where we started, and then that first year, 1997, I went and competed. So I had been training jiu-jitsu about 6 or 7 months already, and there was a tournament. It was the first tournament I ever did, legit one, and I did pretty good. I mean, I won. I didn't win the open, but I won my weight class. Took second in the open. Helson noticed me. I got my blue belt right then and there. And after that, sorry, I just got a message. Let me put this thing on. For some reason, one of my guys that I was talking to, he was able to get through. Let me put this on. There we go. Do not disturb. Sorry about that. But Yeah, so I did my first tournament, did good. Helson noticed me, and he pitted me against one of the guys that used to be kind of one of his students. Helson, he kind of had like, he had the same thing that I've experienced. A little bit of fallout with students over the years, and I happened to go against one of his former students. So after that, I was awarded my blue belt. I was told to train at the main academy, and that's when it all started for me, being at that main academy. The first day there, at that, and this was the one that was on. I believe it was the Cocoa Head Academy, the one that was like two-story. You go up the stairs, and they had like three mat rooms: private mat room, main mat room, and then another mid-sized mat room in the back and then they had the showers. It was a beautiful academy. I loved that place. But when I stepped in that place, they're like, "All right, let's start training." And that was the first day I trained with Barrett Yoshida. He was blue belt. I was blue belt. He was small. He whooped my ass real quick. No surprise, right? And he did this thing where he went inverted, spun around, and I thought I was passing. All of a sudden, he slapped out a triangle. I call it the Phantom Triangle to this day. He's a spinning triangle where he goes inverted.
Mhm.
And I was like, you got to teach me that. So I went to drilling with him. Like, he became my main training partner. We drilled together. We trained together. It was always fun, and it was a really good time back then for sure.
Yeah, I got to train with him, I think, for 6 months. Because the second time I came back to Hawaii was in 2005. I went to Japan for 3 years. Then I came back and he had opened up this real small place. It was like almost like a cafeteria type thing in Eva Beach. And
Uh-huh.
there was only about 12 guys, maybe 10 guys training with him. And he was there for
Oh,
six
wow.
months and then he went to San Diego. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
we would all roll with him regularly, because there's hardly anybody, it's only a few guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a savage, bro.
yeah, it was
Division.
fun.
Yeah, I learned a lot, being that in that on that mat at that time. I would say that if I could pick a better place to be in the '90s like that to learn jujitsu, I found it by sheer luck.
Mm.
Hawaii with Helson and with Solo and Sanji and all those guys coming down, all the world champions, Daniel Moraes, Fredson, all these guys coming down. Mario Sperry, Paige Pano. I mean, I could go off. Alyssa Henzo was there. Vitor came through there. Belfort. Like, I was in the right spot because all these Brazilian world champions were coming to Hawaii to hang out with Helson and to be in Hawaii because, it's Hawaii. It's the beaches and it's beautiful weather, the ocean. And yeah, I think I got pretty lucky just being there. And when I used to travel, I would notice that everywhere I would travel, I would do pretty good as a lower belt going against higher belts. So I was like, man, Helsing's Jiu-Jitsu just a little different. There were some things that were just different about it. And also the training mat was very seasoned. We didn't have any black belts at the time, but we had some brown belts, we had some purple belts, but we had a bunch of tough people that showed up every time. And Helson, he was fully engaged then, like he was, I mean, he was still training. He would mess with me sometimes, and I would be kind of the Uki and get to experience like what it felt like to get like the efficiency or the proficiency of the technique done on you. And training with those guys was just huge because you can't duplicate that kind of pressure from like world champions unless you feel it.
Yeah,
So it was a great place.
Barrett told me a story about him, Helson making him go against Shaolin,
Oh yeah,
like in a
that's a
back
that's a.
room.
Hey, listen, whatever you heard about that story is true. Just
Yeah,
so you know.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's a few of those, man. They come through. Like, yeah, I loved learning from Barrett. I liked his mentality. He's the one who kind of got me like. He's all, this is how you train. This is how you study. This is how you learn. I was like, all right. So it was very, very perfect place for me to start jujitsu.
yeah. I think Hawaii and California were ahead at that time
Yeah,
of
they
the
were.
of the rest of the U.S.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Helson would argue, to this day that it was Brazil, and then it was Hawaii, and then it was California.
Right. I'm just saying the U.S. I think
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Hawaii and California were ahead of everybody. That's why, like you were saying,
Yeah,
you
oh
would
yeah,
you would travel and you'd do good against higher belts because the technique I think was at a higher place.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was neat because we would go down to California too. We went down there. Shoot, what was it 1998? I think we went down there to compete in the. We brought like 9 guys with us to compete in Horian's big tournament they used to do for all just Gracie schools, And so we got invited. Barrett was there. I was there. We had a few others, and I think we had 9 competitors, and we took home 11 medals. And I think all of them were gold except 2 of them. So I don't think we got invited back actually, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe we just didn't go back. But it was really cool because Elio Gracie was there, Ed O'Neill was there. They were all kind of sitting, so I got to sit around and just be around all these Gracie Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, and I'm just sitting there. Ed O'Neill's right here. I'm chatting with him. Elio Gracie's behind me in his big, on the table in the higher chair, and then Horian was right there. And then I was like, oh, this is real cool. So I was just getting to know everybody. And then when it was my turn to compete. The first day I got my ass whooped, man. The first day the guy he swept me twice with the Oompa sweep and mounted me. So I lost on points. I was smashed. It happened twice, and it was like what 2 and 4, so 12 to nothing like that. Because I got hit with the same fucking sweep, like twice by the same guy, and I lost. And I was like, man, that sucks. I came all the way to California to lose, And then I remember saying with Barrett, he said to me, he said, "Well, what's your game plan?" I've never had a game plan. I was like, "What do you mean?" He's all, "Well, you need a game plan." I was like, "Well, what do you think I should do?" He's all, "Pull guard. Tomorrow when you compete, pull guard." Guess what? I ran into that same guy to whoop my ass. We were in the same division. I thought I did my weight class. I didn't know it. It was the open the first day, the weight class the second day. So guess what? I got to see him in the first round. You know what I did? I pulled guard. And then I climbed to a triangle and tapped him out. So I was like, oh, Barrett was right. I need a game plan. So that was a huge lesson there, and we had a good time. And I remember I went in the finals against a guy named Noah, and it was some controversy because I was passing his guard. He had hands on the collar, but it wasn't choking me. And they're like, he's tapping, he's tapping. So they stopped the match. I thought I was about to get robbed. You know how to, sometimes that goes down. I'm not gonna say, but sometimes it happens. If you're not Brazilian, and I remember. I'm like, I look at the guy, I was like, bro, do you think I tapped? You guys think I tapped? Everybody, he tapped. I'm like, I didn't tap, man. And then he said, no, I don't think he tapped. And then Horian said, well, or no, was it Hoist? It was either Hoist or Horian. They said, well, if he doesn't tap, let him go to sleep. And they started us again. And then I won. And that was it. I was like, man, I thought I was about to get robbed. It never happened before. It didn't happen in Hawaii. It's about to happen in California. But the thing I got the most from that was like what Barrett told me. He said, have a game plan. I didn't even think a fuck about the game plan, which is kind of ironic. I'm going in there to
Yeah.
compete. I'm like, I don't have a game plan. I'm just gonna grab and go.
It's funny. Just I think yesterday in Craig Jones' event, I wasn't watching it, but I saw something on Instagram where a guy like, he tapped quick on the leg just once, boom, and people say, and the guy let go, his opponent let go. He
Oh
had him
yeah, I
like
saw that
he had
Geo,
him in
right?
heel,
It was
and
Geo.
people are saying, well, he didn't tap him. I'm like, that's the whole point. You don't think he tapped. The guy let go. That's what he wanted him to do. You know what I mean? That's the whole point of
Yeah,
the move. Either he taps or the ref intervenes, one or the other. Either way, the match continues and he's no longer in the heel hook. It's like a
yeah.
magic trick.
Well, the thing is
You
too
know?
is you got that's when you learn too, like
Yeah.
hold on to the ref till it's done. Because I've seen that. You see that happen all the time where someone does they tap just to like fake tap and to get out of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, man, that's some bullshit, man. Like I don't like that. To me, like do it legit, man. Like just be real, be raw, And if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But don't be a sucker, Don't be a punk like that.
That's a
I used
parlor
to hate the guys that
trick.
would stall too.
Yeah.
They would stall and tying their belt and they like take their time and all that bullshit. I don't know. For a
But
while
there's
there, it
like a
was pretty
whole
well.
line of comments of people arguing whether he tapped or not. And I'm like, that's the whole point of it. You guys don't get it. It's a
Yeah,
little magic trick, and he caught you. He fooled you guys. His
yeah. Is
opponent
that?
did exactly what he wanted him to do. He let go. He's not in the heel hook anymore. So he goes to the ref, no, no, I didn't tap. And the ref said, yeah, you did. It's over. You know?
Oh yeah, he made the fake. I saw that one. It's
Yeah.
it was Geo. Geo. Yeah, Gio. He said this is. I think I saw something. He said it was going to be his last competition too. But I didn't watch it, man. To be honest with you, I kind of like CGI. It's great. I think what they did is awesome. But I don't know. I just kind of don't watch it too much anymore. I have better things to do than just sit there and watch that. I like what the UFC is doing though. I enjoy that. Because I feel like. I kind of saw it was going that way. I mean, you could see they had that Medusa for the women they were doing on the UFC Fight Pass,
Yeah.
and working with the fighters, I was seeing kind of this stuff happen already. I was like, oh, that's gonna be cool. Watch, professional grappling is gonna be a thing, and I was saying this for a while, and sure enough, here we are. Craig Jones comes in and throws down that big ass tournament with the first time, and I thought that was really great. But the second one, I just didn't watch. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was good or anything like that, but I'm sure it was great. I seen enough, man.
I
Sometimes I
didn't
need a
watch it.
break.
It was just that I saw that one clip,
Yeah,
and I can respect it if the guy fools you, you know,
yeah,
and that's it. It's like, like a
yeah.
magician. The ball's
Yeah, it's
here,
just
now it's
it's a
here.
fake. It's a fake. He
Yeah, yeah.
faked. The guy got faked. That's all. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, I get, I don't know if you're like this. You've been doing it for a long time too. I've been doing so much jujitsu. Sometimes I need a break. And if I don't
Yeah.
get a break from jujitsu, it's like, man, how am I going to work on Monday when I'm just all jujitsu all the time? And I love it. Don't get me wrong. But I got to have some downtime where I can just kind of be into my own space, kind of working on the things I need to work on for myself. I still love jujitsu. I still have huge, huge love for it. I'm still very passionate about it. Still very passionate about like what I'm building with my team and here in Colorado and outwards. But yeah, I need a break sometimes, man. I was cornering everybody. I was doing the fighter thing, where I was traveling a lot, to corner fighters. So I mean, I did the hard work, but I did it more as an education, a jujitsu education to get recommitted to the roots of jujitsu, which jujitsu is, for fighting, and IBJJF done a great job, but they also, I think they're, putting those points behind things and putting the sport aspect behind it. We get a little bit, sidetracked on like what this thing was. And I've seen a lot of like black belts out there that they can't fight. They could grapple and they could do jujitsu, but if they start getting hit, they can't fight. They don't know how to do it. And to
Right.
me, that's the breakdown with our art now is that like people have forgotten about punching. And so because you forget about punching, you get all these really exotic, playful things, which are cool and dynamic and they're great for the sport. But let's make no mistake, they don't translate into a fight. Not very well.
Mhm.
And a lot of people out there, they selling themselves as self-defense, as a fighting art, and it's not. And that's my only gripe with that. And that's why I don't really subscribe too much to the sports stuff. I'm not really into the IBJJF stuff. I respect the shit out of it. I just not my thing anymore. My focus is, teaching my students. I like working with like guys like Eric Paulson. I love the catch wrestling aspect. I love my lineage. I love Master Kaiki, who I work with now. I'm very proud of being in Helsinki, even though we don't talk anymore. It's just kind of had a falling out for whatever reason, but it's just the lifestyle is different. I just don't align with those views anymore. So um, it's I respect all of that, but I don't know what I am now. Am I a jujitsu guy, a grappler, or a Gracie guy, or am I just a grappler, or I'm more of a no-gi guy now, is what everybody says. But like I don't
Seems
know what
that
I
way
am. I'm
from your
just
TikTok. Most you usually don't have the gi on.
I'll tell you, I love the gi still. I
Yeah.
teach in the gi every week. We're going back to our gi. We do no gi summers, right? But then I add my two advanced classes back to gi. So Tuesday, Thursday are all gi. Monday, Wednesday are no gi. Friday is gi. Saturday is no gi. So we're 50-50 on the no gi. I do a lot of no gi. I think for me, working with the fighters and stuff like that really gravitated towards me. But I like that no gi allows for a lot of problems, because you don't have grips like you do in the gi. And so there's a lot of balance things that happen that create unique scrambles and open up different transitions. So for me, the idea of no gi isn't necessarily that like it's just something I like. It allows me more growth right now because there's more opportunity to slip, opportunity to fail, opportunity to lose position, and because of the gi work, there's still a lot of creativity in some hybrid gi no gi techniques that I would have never discovered if it wasn't for the gi. So I appreciate both of them. My perspective on gi is that gi is like going to the gym and doing a workout for grappling. Like you got handles to pull. It teaches you creativity. It teaches you balance. Um, there's a lot. It slows down the game. It's great for people getting started that maybe don't want to get that close. So for like women being in the classes, I think it's pretty good for that. I think it's good to lock into that tradition of what we come from. I don't think that I would ever be a school without the gi. Like I would never do that. But I feel like the future is no gi for sure. I
Yeah, it's a
mean, look at
challenge.
it.
Like to run a gym would be a challenge without it.
Yeah, I know some people that do it, but I mean, stick to the tradition. Like martial arts is martial arts. Like a lot of people aren't getting into jujitsu to be competitors and world champions and stuff like that, and go out there and be a professional grappler. Now, you're probably going to see more of that now because there's opportunity, there's money, and people are there's an audience for it. It took a long time to build an audience up to this point where like we could have these kind of cash purses and these opportunities for these young grapplers. But let's face it, most of what you're dealing with are people that want to do what? They want to learn martial arts for self-defense, or they want something for their life to connect with people, to change their environment, be around a positive environment, an environment of growth. And martial arts, if you're doing martial arts and not just a sport or a club, like there's a lot of jujitsu clubs, you know what I mean? There's a lot of jujitsu teams. Now, I guess my thing is like, does that lineage or that coach or that team, would you say that they're martial artists or hobbyists or stylists or sports, or are they martial artists? And to me, what is martial arts if not unarmed combat? I mean, that's what it was, martial art, martial law, whatever you want to say. To me, when I resonate with martial arts, I think of what it was for me, which was hand-to-hand combat. That's what I was training when I was a kid. And so I brought those martial art views into my school. And so I train martial artists, not jujitsu people. We're not jujitsu people first. We're martial artists first. So that's why we have the structure we have. We bow. We still have the belt ranks. Everybody's like, I don't want to bow to another man. We don't bow to. They don't bow to me. We don't bow to other. We bow to each other for respect. At my school, when I'm done, I bow to them out of respect for being in my school, respect for the art that gives us an opportunity for transformation. I'm very grateful for my ability to reach people with this craft, with this what I do. But when I bow, it's for that. And you know how a lot of schools have the students come to the instructor and close out class? I don't do that. I go to my students and I go down the line and I start the line. Why do I do that? Because I'm in service to them, not the other way around. I'm there for them. And when I go up to them and we have our own handshake, I grab their wrists here, strength and honor every time. That's what's going through my head. Strength and honor, strength and honor. Why? I got that from Master Kaiki. Inside of Master Kaiki's gi that I give my students, it says strength and honor. So that's why I went with Master Kaiki. Is he's a martial artist. When I left Helson, I needed to be around someone that was like me, and I felt like, Master Kaiki exhibited all the qualities I was looking for inside of a master, a teacher, someone to take me and not only teach me jujitsu, but man, has he taught me about life. He's taught me about running a business. He checks on my dad. He checks on me. So, Taught me how to be a better coach too, better leader. I guess just a better human being, if you will, if that's not what we're all trying to do, right?
How do you think your jiu-jitsu changed after you kind of, left Hawaii or whatever?
I don't want this might sound kind of cocky. Jiu-jitsu was easy for me to get. Um, I could look at a move, I could watch it, and I could do it. And I could do it live in most cases. Still, to this day, I can see it, do it. And it's not because, like I've always done it. It's the people say, oh, you've been doing it for a long time. That's why you can do that. I started that way. That's how it was. So I just think, and I think what prepared me is traditional martial arts because of all the memorization. I had to memorize a lot to earn my black belt in Kenpo Karate. I had to memorize forms. I had to memorize techniques, like 300, like almost 400 techniques I had to know perfectly. I had to know like 20 something forms that had like thousands and thousands of movements into them. I had to memorize all that. So my mind was very developed for jiu-jitsu because of traditional martial arts, I believe, looking back on it. So it was easy for me. So honestly, I learned a lot from Relson. I would never discredit that. But I learned more training on that mat. I learned more training and encountering patterns and problems that I said, well, what if I do this? So for me, what if was my biggest teacher. And having a good environment of tough people, experienced people to what if on and train with and fight with and get strong with, that developed my jiu-jitsu. So when I left Hawaii, I had these training ideas already in my head, you know? And so what I did is when I got out of the service, I didn't do jiu-jitsu for like 2 years. So I took all that and I was like, I'm not doing anything. I was trying to find a job. I was trying to get out of the military and have a career now. I had to get that done. And it wasn't going well at all.
Yeah, I think
So
that's the
my,
way it is for most of us
yeah, it
at
was
first.
terrible. Yeah, I was like, what the hell? I'm not going to be able to open a school. I can't make any money. I don't know what I'm going to do, you know? And so I'm like, I'll do a sales job. I'll do this sales job. So I learned how to sell and talk on the phone, which was very challenging because I was kind of not very good at talking to people. I'm a little better now, but I've had a lot of practice and I've had to get out of my comfort zone to do it. And when I started teaching again, I still had a lot of skill built, into I had put enough time in.
All right.
So when I got pulled back into training, I hadn't really missed a beat, but my body wasn't in jujitsu shape. So sustained a major injury right in the beginning when I got back into jujitsu. I ruptured my bicep, right? And I had to get surgery. So after taking 2 years off and then getting back into it, I was still doing the techniques and everything. The body had changed because it wasn't used to that type of intensity. I was training fighters right away. And ruptured my bicep, man. So I had to get surgery there, and that was a bummer. The day after surgery, guess what I was doing? On the mat training. I just put my hand in my belt, and I was like, all right, let's go. So I trained like that for 1 year. But because I already knew how to train, I knew how to learn, I knew how to do the what if, I knew that when I would train and I would look at new techniques, I'd be like, well, wait a second, this doesn't feel right. So I went by feel. And how I would determine is like if a technique required me to use a lot of strength, then I didn't have the technique down. The angles were wrong, the timing was off. I knew something was off. So I would just drill inside of that container until like it felt right. And when I knew I got the feeling of it right is when I couldn't feel their weight, it felt effortless and it was something that I could duplicate. So, and if I couldn't get a technique to do that, I would spend time and I would try to make techniques that I would see or learn to fit into that. And if I couldn't, I would put them to the side for a little while, put them on the shelf. Never forget about them because I revisited a lot of those broken ideas later on as a seasoned black belt. And I was like, oh shit, I missed this, this, and this. And that's what makes the technique work. So back to what I learned. It's kind of weird, like full circle. Like give you an example, arm triangle. How good is your arm triangle? A lot of people squeeze way too hard,
Yeah.
and then they wonder why it doesn't work. Well, don't squeeze hard. Just squeeze constantly. And I got this idea from my friend Charles Harrod. When he showed it to me, I was like, shit, that's why some of the chokes I took out of my game didn't work. As soon as you showed me this idea of like not using that much power on a choke and just kind of keeping it snug for a long time or time over, um, what I call it, um, just choking over time, like just get a good squeeze, count a little bit, hang out, all right, and then get a little tighter and just wait a little bit, don't blow out your grip. Man, you'd be surprised how easy chokes get, how easy it is to make people tap when you have what Charles refers to as choke theory. Man, so I brought back all those old moves that I threw off the shelf, and I've done this over the last 5 years since I learned this with Charles. Like started working with him. I would say that I have brought back ideas that I've thrown into the off to the side, like this doesn't work for me. This choke I can't make it work. To now I can make all this shit work. It's interesting.
Yeah, I had mentioned something to you about Islam, like, when Charles tapped quickly, because the reason I mentioned that is because when I was in Japan, there was these two Japanese guys teaching wrestling on the Yokosuka base, like 3 or 4 nights a week for free. They wanted to use the high school mats. So
Yeah.
they said, and the high school said, all right, well, you have to do this. They said, all right, we'll do that. No problem. And one of them was this guy, he had finished like third in Japanese nationals within the last 2 years. And he was so strong, like ridiculously strong, that, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure Islam just squeezed Charles' head right off of his, like you were saying, felt like his neck was going to break.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, there's a way to create a lot of power in a choke. and I learned this with a fighter I was working with, Caleb Crump. And he's really good. He's doing good, man. I think he competed, did well. He's winning. The guy is a savage out of Colorado, and I've worked with him, on some things. But guy's got a nasty back choke. His RNC is mean. He definitely just will crush your face, you know.
Yeah.
And you learn how to defend things differently. You learn what works, what doesn't work when you get dealing with that kind of brutality. But I'll say, man, that jokes. If you get what I call that J lift, like really that squeeze and that pull, and you have the hooks digging in, both hooks in, or like needs to modify it on a choke, modified hook in, choking side, you got a lot of pulling power. And so, yeah, man, that's a real problem. People aren't prepared for that. A lot of jujitsu guys are pretty civilized, and like if it's not under there, they're like, okay, I'll let that chill. Not the MMA guys.
Oh yeah,
Not the
like Hamzat
not
who
not
squeezed.
not
Yeah.
yeah, not the MMA guys anymore, and now it's catching on to the jiu-jitsu guys too, because they're like, we're just gonna squeeze it. We'll get under there somehow, or we'll just break the face.
Yeah, that's what Barrett was kind of known for, is tearing people's faces up.
Well,
Yeah.
Barrett reminded me of like kind of a serial killer on the mat. He's so like dialed in, and he doesn't really show a lot of emotion when he's whooping your ass.
Right, right. He doesn't. I
He's
mean, I
very
remember he choked. He got me across the jaw, and I asked him why he didn't try to finish it, and he said, "Well, nobody good's gonna tap to that. Why should I do it to you?" But I think now people do tap to it. So
yeah, see, Barrett's always a technician though.
yeah,
That's what I loved about him, man. Like always a technician. One of the most technical guys I've ever seen.
yeah,
And I love that I got to experience that with him in the beginning. I'm glad that he was part of my jiu-jitsu beginning, because look what he went out to do. It's pretty crazy. Look back, I got to train a lot with a Hall of Famer. I've got to learn from a lot of Hall of Famers, in my jiu-jitsu life. And I'm not even saying jujitsu career, it's my life, jujitsu life. My jujitsu life has been blessed with nothing but badasses and technicians and world champions. And I owe that to Hellison for sure, because Hellison brought them in. It was him who brought these guys to me. So I will forever love Hellison. I will forever be grateful for Relson. And I'll just remember him how I remember him when I was there. That's how I do that. But I'm very, very thankful for that, man. I'm very, very thankful for my lineage, the way I grew up, and where I'm at now. I mean, all that stuff. I got a school here in Colorado. It's a nice school. I have a good life. The one thing I will say was a cool story. I was a blue belt. We were in Ohio, I believe. I was traveling with the team, and we just finished the Columbus, Ohio, one of the tournaments there. And we were in the hotel room, and we were just talking. It was after Fabio Santos was there too, and Helson were like kind of doing some things with Fabio, and they were talking about the difference in certain ideas around half guard, whether the top leg trap or the bottom leg trap kind of stuff, which was better. I still, for me, to this day, I'll always use the top leg trap and the half guard because it's better for fighting, because so they can't hit you with that power hand. So that was my thoughts on that. But it was funny to see those guys. They basically were, going over. It was a lesson after everything. It was a lesson in the hotel room. And I remember it was just Helson and I sitting there, and I told Helson, I looked at him and said, "I want to do what you do, Helson. I want to teach jiu-jitsu for a living. I want jiu-jitsu to be my life." And that was a conversation I had with Helson there. And he said, "You love jiu-jitsu, I'll make jiu-jitsu your life." And I'll tell you, he fulfilled on it because it is my life. And I'll always I always remember that. I wish I could call him right now, man. Like, I wish I could call him right now. I'll talk a little shit. Like, I did a podcast the other day. I shouldn't have said it. But, like, he has demons too, just like everybody else. And he chooses to do something with his demons that, I choose to do it different with my demons. I don't probably don't
Yeah.
do anything substance like that. Do I smoke pot? Yeah, I'll smoke some weed. I'll do that. But do I do anything else? No. And I don't even really do that as much anymore. I really just kind of focus on my life, and focus on, what I'm trying to achieve in the world. And right now, my mission is, uh, I'm trying to do something with the vets. I'm trying to do something with first responders. I'm trying to do something with suicide awareness because I've lost too many of my friends being a military guy, and also my family's got a lot of military in it, and I've lost friends, I've lost family to this shit. So that's my main focus right now. And jiu-jitsu is always my bread and butter, but I'm really pushing around that cause. Overlaps really well. Fitness and jiu-jitsu go hand in hand, I guess. You know what I mean? So might as well do both. So it's kind of my thing right now. But I'm always, man, there's sometimes I still have his number on my phone. I call him right now. I don't know if he take my call, and if he did take my call, he might fucking chew my ass out, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
but hey, I wish him the best, man. I've been
Uh,
saying this a lot to people. I have nothing but love, even for the people that hurt me, or people maybe I hurt them and I didn't know. I have nothing but love for them. But they left, I stayed. And I don't want anybody to starve. But they're not eating with me, not at my table, not anymore. I try to be really forgiving, but I don't let people back into my life like that anymore. I used to do that. Made a mistake. And I'll tell you about it. If you want, I can tell you about some of the things I learned, mistakes I would never do again. I have a whole list of them. I'm like, never do that again, never do this
yeah.
again. Lessons hard learned. But yeah, I miss Helson.
How challenging was it for you to run a school?
Extremely. Hardest thing I ever did. Because it's personal development at that point. Because we're in the business of leadership. You have to. You're leading people on the map. And whether you like it or not, if you step in that role, people are going to look up to you. What kind of example are you going to set? So I struggled with that. Or I did. I struggled with that in the beginning because I didn't know how to lead. I had a temper. Still got a little bit of temper. I'm a little more refined. I don't let it fly too much. But I'm a little bit more vocal now. I say what I need to say. And if I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but if you piss me off, I'll let you know you pissed me off. That's it. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just say, I don't want to fuck with you no more. I don't have time for that. I'm 49 years old, going to be 50 in January. Do you think I have fucking time for
No.
bullshit anymore? Fuck
Yeah.
no. I'm not.
Same age.
Yeah, bro. Like, what we doing? Like, it's different when you're in your 20s. Like, oh, maybe I got time. But I would encourage someone at the earliest age they can learn that your time, the time you have to breathe on this planet is the most important currency that you possess. Why are you trading it for dollars? Time for dollars? find a way to make shit work for you. You know, like I'm not super rich or anything like that, right? I'm good though. You know, I'm doing good. House paid for, life paid for. You know, I got a few things I gotta work out here and there. I got a big academy, so I got big bills. But I also do well. And the reason why I do well is because I fucking worked on myself hard. So for me, running a school, it's the hardest fucking thing I ever did because it made me look at all my fucking character flaws. It made me look myself in the mirror and say, why am I not getting this? Why don't I have enough students? Why are people leaving? Why are, it, it's a lonely job. Running a school, being an entrepreneur, it's a lonely fucking job because you got nobody else. There's no cap above you. You are right here, and it's up to you to make all that shit work. And when you can't pay payroll, you gotta fucking get creative. When you can't fucking get the fucking lights going and the bills and all that, you gotta get creative. But you know what's crazy? I've managed to fucking pull off miracles for a long time. I was like, I don't know how we're gonna get through this month. We get through it.
So even when you have a big academy, it can be a challenge to pay those things.
Yeah, because I got about $26,000 overhead, bro, with my school. You know, I got payroll. I got instructors, you know, working. I'm trying to give jobs. I try to help people out, you know. I started a new company, Forge Unity, to get some jobs, you know, and also to do something important, you know, which is you bring some awareness, bring some money to suicide awareness, and you know, giving these organizations funds and you know, offering a group, a community for them to lock into and talk to guys like me and my team, you know. You know, another thing too is like, I'm active on social media, but the conversations I'm not having, I'm not active like making money on social media. I'm making connections with people on social media. Like I'm having real conversations with people. You know, I don't sit there and do superficial stuff. If I say I like something, I say something. And if someone sends me a nice comment on some of my posts, I send them a DM, but I send them a video DM so they know it's from me. That they know that I read you, I care. And you know, sometimes when I put out those posts where I say, "Hey, who's struggling today?" If anybody who says, I say, "Are you struggling today?" and they say yes, all those people that say yes get a message from me, and I'll put them on a call. I'll jump on a call with them right now.
Hmm.
You know, because I've seen people walk out of my academy and never walk back in because they decided to go down that path of darkness.
Yeah.
You know, if something happens, if someone comes into my heart and I feel it here, boom, boom, and I hear their name, I call them. As a matter of fact, while I was on there, I was reaching out to one of my friends that I know was going through some stuff. That's what came through when I said, "Hold on a second, let me put it on. Let me put it on. Do not disturb." I got to call him back. I got to check on him. He's one of my vets. You know, he's been through
Yeah,
some
I
stuff.
saw that, you know, when I was still training. Like when I came back to Oklahoma, I was training at a place, and there was a guy there, Kevin Phelps. He was a veteran, and he was having a lot of problems. He would get into it with his I think it was his wife or girlfriend, sometime right there in the lobby, and the instructor kicked him out, and not too long after that, he got killed. You know, he got shot by somebody in front of his house. You know, and it just really rubbed me the wrong way how, you know, all of that played out, you know.
Yeah,
But it's
you
hard
know,
to know what to do, you know, I guess. Because the
yeah,
owner of the gym was a veteran too.
yeah. You
So,
know what it is? It's like it's hard for us sometimes because I don't like to kick people out of my school, man. But if they like, I've had to throw out a few, you know. But what I do notice is that some people come to me like, "Hey, why are you letting that guy train here?"
yeah.
I'm like, "Well, everybody deserves a chance with me." And so I'll work with him. I have one student of mine. He's been kicked out of every school in Colorado. He got kicked out of my school 3 times. And then he called me. He said, nobody will work with me. Right? He's my friend Omar, you know. And I told my dad, I was like, "Dad, I think I'm gonna let Omar back in my school or back in our school because it's my age. I do all, I would say I'll do most of the work for my dad, My dad is the glue that holds shit together, man. You know, so like it's our school, you know. He lets me run everything. I teach classes, but he teaches self-defense. He's at every one of my classes. I see my dad every week. We train on the mat, teach people together. It's pretty amazing that I've had this life with my father. He's 75, still training jiu-jitsu. My first black belt too. And you know, I remember telling my dad, I was like, Dad, Omar been kicked out of every school. We've kicked him out. I was like, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna do some private lessons with him. I'm gonna try to fix him. Or not fix him, but I'm trying to help him. You know, I hate saying fixing people because I ain't in the business of fixing people. I'm in the business of, you know, supporting people with obviously supporting them in a way that like I want to see growth. I gotta see you're moving in the right direction. And so that I let him back in. You know what? He became a great student. I could let him train with everybody. He's a black. I'm pretty sure he's a black belt now. He moved away. We still sometimes talk on social media, but you know, like I don't like throwing people out of school because you don't know, man. I see people differently because I get to learn them differently, you know, because they're coming to learn from me. So it's like I can see who's insecure and trying to fit in. I can see people who are struggling. One thing I learned too, and actually it was recently, I was at church today. You know, I was sitting there and like I was sitting there watching, you know, looking at people. And one thing, I make eye contact with people, but I don't really make eye contact with people. Make eye contact with people, you see something different, you know. And I do that in my students when I talk to them, so that's I see that differently. And when I have one student I'm working with right now, people are like, "Why are you working with him?" Because he deserves a chance, and he's a good kid. I can see he's good. I see he's good. I can see he just wants to fit in. I can see he has a goal. There's something behind there. There's some kind of pain behind there that's pushing this dude hard. And I'll say that, man, it probably came from MMA, coaching MMA, because most of the MMA fighters that are coming out there are coming from some real trauma. And so you learn to understand that drive comes from somewhere. I had that drive when I was competing. My mom died when I was a kid. My dad was, you know, alcoholic at the time. So we didn't have a good relationship when I left for the Navy. That drive, that anger I had inside, I used that. I transmuted that into like just power, you know, power to get shit done, you know.
Yeah, that's
But
interesting.
I don't throw people out of my school unless I have to, bro.
When you did, like, let's say the guy, you know, was it that he was hurting people or just that he was kind of crazy?
I throw out people that hurt people. People that hurt people,
Yeah.
and I know it's intentional, I'll have to throw them out.
Oh
And
yeah.
honestly, in 20, in all my years of teaching, 15 years on my school, right? I think I'm in my 16th year. No, 15. I see. I don't fucking know. It's been a while. But I've only had to really throw out two people. Well, three people. Three people I've thrown out. So get the fuck out. Don't ever come back.
For heel
And you know
hooking and
why?
stuff.
Because they were hurting people. Because they
Yeah.
were a hazard. They have meanness in them. And
Yeah.
they were gonna hurt people out my school. I've had people that I should have thrown out. I can name off a list of them. You know what's good about those people? They left on their own. I didn't have to throw them out. You know, a lot of people try like throw backhanded comments at me and shit, throw a little shade. That's cool, man. Hey, the jujitsu you're doing is the jujitsu I taught you.
Yeah, I
You know
think
what I'm
that's gonna
saying?
be it's gonna be that way for any gym owner. They're gonna have guys who stay, guys who didn't, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I just hope you know. My wish is like when I get a little bit older in this game, and hopefully one day you know I'm old and I get that core belt, or maybe I get that red belt if I live long enough. I hope that those students that fell out fall back in, so I can see them again. I do miss them, even though they're shitheads to me. And maybe I was a shithead to them. I want it. I was a shithead. I ain't perfect. I'm a motherfucker to deal with sometimes. But I love people, care about people, show up for people, do things for people, you know? But I think that's how you're supposed to be, though. Just because people are hurt or rub you the wrong way, just still be that kind person. Try to be that kind person and be kinder. That's all I'm trying to do in life. Just be a little bit kinder than I was when I was younger or last year. Be a little kinder this year. That's always my goal. Be a little kinder this year and have more patience and try to show up on time. Fuck.
I think that's the
I think
hardest thing for us as veterans because The military really doesn't train you to deal with ordinary people that aren't in the military. You know what I
No,
mean? So when you get
no.
into the workforce, it's real difficult to adjust to that. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, man.
really
I,
difficult.
I tried to work a job, a few of them. I'm a terrible employee. My master diver, my master diver when I left, Dave Gove. If he ever hears this, man, he's a great guy. I love him. I remember when I was going out of the Navy, he said to me, he said, Steve, you're a great guy, but I never want you to work for me again. I was like, man, I was like, Master Dog, you're a great guy. I don't want to work for you ever again either.
It took me years to like to where I could actually. I think once I looked for a place that had a good reputation rather than just working, that's when it
Yeah,
was. I said, I'll just find a place that has a good reputation and maybe
yeah,
that'll work. And that seemed to be the solution.
yeah. Getting around good people.
Yeah, but even then you got to deal with people, customers or whatever. In
Yeah,
any job, you're going to deal with customers to some extent, and those are the people that can cause problems. You know.
yeah. But I think we deal with conflict a little different as martial artists and people have been doing jiu-jitsu because we know that like if it does become a physical altercation, we have usually more skills than the person that's trying to do that. So we have the ability to de-escalate, and if we have the ability to stop situations from happening without being extra violent.
But
So
in the military, they're just like, "Why are you the stupid?" And then they'll show you
military, yeah,
to fix
military. You
stuff.
got you got to bite your tongue, bro.
Yeah,
You got to bite your tongue, man. I got my ass chewed out so many times.
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
even, I can't even count, but I needed it. I probably deserved it. you know.
yeah. If it's something that's obvious, they're going to give you a hard time about the fact that you don't understand this.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
busting
why
chops in the
can't you
military.
understand this? It's not that complicated.
Oh yeah, busting balls in the military.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta have thick skin. That's why sometimes when I teach class, I gotta watch it because there's a lot of military, people in my class, and so there's a little bit of banter sometimes that I like. Maybe someone who doesn't know might be like, "Are
exactly.
these guys
Yeah,
gonna fight here? I mean, we're gonna have a problem here." No, we're just playing.
yeah.
I got a
But
few guys like that. My
it's
team,
hard to
all right. So
adjust.
hey,
Yeah,
my team is more like a. That's the one thing I would say. If you call someone come to my school and it's a military guy, they're gonna feel like they're back in. They're around
yeah.
some military people because the banter, the friendship, the brotherhood, the things we do, how we work. I'll tell you, man. My students probably give me the best life because like I get to be around people I like every fucking week, man. I get to see people I love on the mat every week. I get to train with them, teach them, see them smile. I get to see their life. I mean, I was at my buddy, one of my students, Mark. He got married. I was at his wedding. I was like, what a huge honor to be at his wedding, to be a part of his life like this. He's a big part of my life. And it's cool to be, part of his life like that. I mean, I've had kids grow up little that are now off to college. I have kids that have trained with me that went into the military and come back. I have people that went off to open businesses. I have people that went off to move and follow their passion, follow their careers, and do big things. So for me, I think that I'm probably the luckiest guy because I get to see it all. I get to see what jujitsu's done for these people over time because I'm there every day or in some capacity. If I'm not there, I'm working on the business, but I'm there every week. I get to see everybody. So I get to pay attention to their life. I get to see them win. And I get to see them change. Like I was looking at the other day, I was like, man, my brown belt. I was looking, I was like, man, bro, you lost some weight. How many? He's like 30 pounds, 20 pounds. I was like, looks good. I go to another guy, I was like, how much you lose? 60 pounds. I was like, damn. How do you feel? My knees don't hurt. I'm like, I love that. I got another guy. He had real bad hips and stuff. He showed me because we do this thing called Budokan mobility that I learned from Cameron Shane, and um and I started teaching it to my students because it helped me. And I started teaching, and one guy goes, "Check this out, Steve." And he's like doing this weird like shit that I can't even do. I was like, man. He said I couldn't move like this. I was broken 6 months ago. Look at me now.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I love seeing people win, man. I love seeing people win big too. Like I want all my friends to be more successful than me.
Let me ask you about this as we're coming winding down. Um, I want to know what you thought. Like with a guy like Gordon Ryan and all the success. What did you think of like their system and kind of how they had all this rapid success, in a short period of time, maybe.
Well, I think John Danaher is who he is. He's very good at what he does and how he coaches people, how he gets in their head. I've seen some things that I haven't seen before from him, but a lot of it I have seen. It's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Sure, he's very refined as a coach, but I've studied enough to see that I feel like a lot of his game came from when he was coaching MMA, because when I stepped into MMA, I started seeing those problems of pinning and holding him down and being able to stand up. And, I started experiencing those problems, especially since I was throwing myself into the training too, so that I could feel the problems firsthand so I could actually get to work on them. I think they have a great strategy. Obviously, they proved it. But also, I don't think steroids is the way, man. I'm against that. I don't use them. I never have. I never will. I don't care what anybody says. I find natural ways to be fit. I'm fucking almost 50 years old and I'm fucking great shape. I'm fucking bust out. I'm gonna do 50 pull-ups for my 50th birthday with no stop. I'm doing muscle ups. I'm doing all kinds of shit. Fucking work out every day. So for me, and I never used that shit when I was competing against people who were using that juice, because it was never worth my body, never worth my health. That's what I disagree with. And so I say Gordon Ryan is great, one of the greats. But my question is, how great would he be without the juice?
I
Technique is
think they were
technique.
they were still pretty good. A lot of his students were still good.
Yeah, they're
I think
good.
they came up with the system. Okay, if we have good guards, people can't pass. Eventually,
Yeah,
they're going to get entangled while they're trying to pass, and we'll win with the leg lock. And
yeah,
that's
I
that.
agree with that. I agree
Yeah, I
with all
think
that.
that's kind of what the system was.
Well, yeah, great system, but that leg lock system, it didn't come from. It came from like guys like I was learning shit like that from Dean Lister. Watching
Yeah.
him, I was learning that from our guy Coffee. We had a guy Coffee at the academy in Hawaii. There was a fucking leg lock specialist. He showed us. I learned heel hooks from him. I
Oh yeah,
started
the
really diving into.
Japanese too. The Japanese are great at
Yeah,
it long
and
ago.
then
Yeah.
you had guys like Eric Paulson doing it. So like for me, like those are the guys that created the game that he put together. Now he probably took a lot of the information, put together into a great system. He's very intelligent, very smart. He's a genius. I'm not discrediting that, but I will say this: good jiu-jitsu is better with steroids.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
I mean, look, it's not about just technique. It is power. If it was, why the fuck was I in the gym every fucking like 5, 6 days a week, fucking pushing heavy weight? Like, why was I squatting 350, 60 pounds, for war reps? Why was I doing deep squats like that? Why was I trying to max out and bench almost 400 pounds? I was at 375 on bench. I could power clean, 275? Why was I doing that if jujitsu is about technique only?
Right.
Bullshit. So if you take good technique and you add power on the end of the lever, that technique is way better. You take two people who are both pretty decent in technique and you add strength, one stronger than the other one, who's gonna win?
Yeah, of course.
So to say that strength doesn't matter is completely bullshit. So to say steroids aren't a huge advantage, well, yes, fuck yeah, they are. Fuck yeah, they are. We know that. And to say it's not, well, it's still technique. No, it's performance enhancing for a reason. And I'll tell you this: with the UFC doing what they're doing, I think we're going to have better grappling now, because I don't know if they're going to let that fly. They're going to probably do the same testing that they do for the fighters, and I think that's great for the sport. So for me, I'm really curious as to what the UFC does for our sport, not what CGI does for our sport. Now they've already done it, but I don't like that they're promoting steroid use, because there's a reason why guys die early. You see it all the time. All these bodybuilders die early. Why? It's not worth it, man.
And
Not
pro
for a piece of
wrestlers.
metal. Yeah,
Yeah.
those wrestlers all the time. Is it worth it for a piece of metal? This piece of metal isn't worth shit for your life. And again, goes back to train time for dollars. Now you train your life for some fame, for some clout. That's stupid. I never will go down that path. Never. Do it naturally. Do it with a good diet. It's hard. It's hard to maintain fitness, because I know what I have to do every day. I know what my regimen is. My week is stacked with recovery, fitness, supplementation. I take supplements, creatine, protein. I'm disciplined on what I eat and what I do and how I recover. That's a lot of work. But a lot of people are looking for a simple way to do shit, a way that doesn't require as much effort. So for me, I'm an effort person. I will put effort in. I will put as much effort as it takes. And I think that's the difference. Effort to me that's the superpower. I'll put effort into this and I'll put a lot of effort. I will outwork most of my competition. Reason why I have a big school, reason why I have, what I have is I outwork people and I will outwork people 24/7. I work, man. I do what I love. So it's not that hard to do something that you love.
Maybe you could let people that are watching this know kind of where they can find you and where your school is. And
Yeah, man. Well, I'm in Littleton, Colorado, Catharo Training Center. Um, the best place to reach out to me is Instagram. Like TikTok, I just started doing that. I'm glad, but hey, it worked. It got us connected.
yeah, yeah, it
I'm
did.
glad it did, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just started getting active on TikTok. But like Instagram, pretty much all my stuff's on Instagram. You can find my school. You can find all the things I'm involved in. What I'm working on. You can follow me with that suicide awareness. I'm doing the Pull Your Age challenge every day. I do pull ups for suicide awareness. January 26th, when I turn 50, I'm gonna do 50 consecutive reps, no rest, for that cause, and then I'm probably going beyond that because I'm just really getting into the pull ups. I really like it. I'm telling you, it's a hack for strength, bro. Hey,
Pull
here's
ups.
something. Here's something. I didn't know this, but I've never done pull ups every day. But doing pull ups every day, I think, from what I'm experiencing, this is a strength hack because it's like changing my strength, changing my body, changing my physique. Just doing pull ups, just adding pull ups every day. So yeah, people can follow that. But yeah, Instagram's where I'm at, my website, all that, easy to get a hold of. I'm the only. And another thing, if you look up Steve Hordinski, there's not that many in the world. There's three of us. My grandfather who passed away, Steve Hordinski Sr. My dad, Steve Hordinski Jr., Steve Hordinski III. Go ahead and look it up. There's not many of us. We got such a weird name.
Yeah, so his Instagram is first name, last name, same with his TikTok. So
Yeah, easy,
it's easy
right?
to find him.
I
Yeah.
got lucky. I'm the only one out there.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And like I said,
For
everybody who
sure.
wants to check him out, you can find him on Steve Hordinski, Instagram, TikTok. You know,
Yeah,
Littleton,
man.
Colorado, cold place in the winter.
And yeah, I know. I'll tell you what. In the winter, I'm trying to get out of here. So if there's somewhere
Yeah.
warm, someone wants to come out and do a seminar, and you live in a warm spot, I'm happy to go and do that because get me out of this cold. I don't like the cold. My family's all here in Colorado, so so I like being around my family. But I'm not a fan of the cold. I'm gonna be honest with you. Hawaii ruined that. Living in Hawaii for 10 years, I did not like the cold when I came back. So it's
Yeah,
great to meet you, Todd.
Philippines is brutal. It gets real hot, man.
Is that
Like
where you at?
hot
Where
and
you,
humid.
yeah, where you at right now? Where you
Well,
at
I'm
again?
in Oklahoma, but I'm planning to retire there. Like we already have an apartment there, and I want to build a house
What?
there.
Oh yeah, bro.
Where
Do
my
you
wife
ever?
lives, her community, like the main island of Philippines, is called Luzon, and
Okay,
her municipality is the smallest one on the entire island of Luzon, which is about the size of Arkansas.
so
So
it's got to be back to like kind of like that tribal type of living, huh?
it's only
Like,
like 1,600 people.
see, that's
No,
the
they
kind
have
of life I.
They aren't living like tribally, but it's just
You know what I'm
it's such
saying?
a
I
small
like a small
community.
community. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
call that to me small communities tribal. I'm Denver, man. Colorado is fucking packed full of people, so I like
yeah,
the smaller communities. That's pretty cool, man. You ever get out this way, man, or I ever get out that way? We have to link
yeah.
up, bro. I
Yeah,
can't
I'm
believe.
just outside Tulsa, Oklahoma. Just
And you
outside of it.
do you still talk to Lincoln?
Oh yeah.
Hey, tell him I said hi.
Yeah, I could bring
And
you on a show with him sometime. We'll talk
hey
because I've
man, I
had
would
him on
love to
here.
see that. I would love to see that. I'm gonna shoot him a message. I'm gonna shoot him a message after we get off this. I'm gonna shoot him a message. Be like, hey, we just did a podcast. Talk about you, man. That's awesome, bro. What a small fucking world, ain't it?
Yeah, it is.
This
MMA is a
jujitsu.
small community.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu and MMA. Is that what you do? You do a lot of comment? I was looking, but it looks like you do a lot with MMA, like commentation or the podcasts.
Not really commentary. I was just doing this stuff because it's stuff that I
It's
was
like,
into for a long time, and I know a lot of people from like this guy from Hook and Shoot. I don't know if you remember Hook and Shoot, but
yeah, I remember that.
he was the matchmaker for Hook and Shoot. He does a lot of shows with me, and then James Wormy, who used to work for the UFC,
Oh,
the
that's awesome,
SCG
bro.
days. So I usually bring on guys who can educate people about certain things, you
Well,
know.
I hope I helped. I hope I had some value. And if I upset anybody, it wasn't meant. It wasn't on purpose. It's just me being me. I'll just be real with you. You know.
Yeah,
So
it's more usually when I see like certain stories where people are maybe needing some information that or they
yeah.
don't get, maybe I'll bring somebody on who can enlighten some people about it. Even like, some crime stuff. Like I know Dave Walker. I don't know if you ever watched the first 48 shows that are in Tulsa. And
Oh, I don't really watch a lot of TV, man. I
well,
don't. The news sometimes is playing in the background, but maybe I gotta check out some
the
shows,
first
man.
48 is a show where they basically follow homicide crews from different
Oh, okay. Yeah,
jurisdictions.
I would like that. I would
And
like that. I would
so
like
they
that
show
stuff.
up and they go over the investigation. They kind of follow the whole thing from beginning to end.
Oh
You know,
wow. Okay.
so they show up and there's a body laying there, and
And then
they're
they have to figure out everything.
yeah, yeah. You got the police around. Dave was the head of the Tulsa Homicide Unit for about 8 years. So
Oh man.
whenever there's some sort of crime story that maybe people like this thing with Rampage Jackson's son. I don't know if you saw that, but he almost beat a wrestler to death.
Oh wow, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's a long story. You'd have to look at it. I'll send it to you.
I'm
But
gonna I'm gonna look it up. Send me some info, bro.
basically, he got mad at the guy. He's not a pro wrestler, and the guy had hit him with like a empty beer can, like a prop. You saw the beer go. Like, he hit him in the head with it because he thought he was a wrestler. He was at the show. He had a camera crew with him, Rampage's son, and then in their infinite wisdom, they thought it would be a good idea to have Rampage's son go in and do a spot with him to get his revenge. And so
Hmm.
he's sitting there watching the match, and he's streaming. So his streamers are all just, you're a wimp, you're a coward. You let this guy hit you with a beer can, you're soft. And he's getting madder and madder and madder because people are commenting. You're they're all dogging him. You let that guy hit you. What were you thinking? You didn't do anything. And he's saying, wait until you see when I get in there what I'm gonna do. And he just started pummeling the guy. He must have hit him 25 times. He knocked him out. He slammed him, so the guy was already unconscious.
Whoa. I gotta look at
Hold on.
that. Send that to
Yeah,
me,
the guy
bro.
was already unconscious, and he probably hit him at least 20 times after he was unconscious. One
Oh
guy tried
no.
to stop him. One guy tried to pull him off, and he just threw the guy away, and then started pummeling him some more.
Oh, is it? Oh
He
wow, that
was
sounds
he was
bad.
going to kill this guy, and enough wrestlers got in there to pull him off, but he was
Mhm.
not stopping.
That's not good.
So the guy's whole lower part of his face is destroyed. His jaw's all broken. He lost most of his teeth. He was in a coma
Wow.
for a couple of days.
Oh wow.
Luckily, he survived. But some people are saying, why hasn't he been arrested yet? So it's because he hasn't. It's been about a week. And so
Oh, yeah, I missed this.
I was gonna
Yeah.
bring Dave on to kind of explain to people, okay, this is what investigation is. This is how it works. They don't arrest people right. He fled the scene too, so it wasn't like he was there when the
Oh
police
wow.
got there. So you got to investigate. There's a lot of different stuff going on with it. So I was gonna bring him on to tell people, okay,
That's pretty
this is
wild story. Yeah, that's pretty wild story, man.
it's
Man,
all over the
he's
place. It's
yeah,
all over the news.
yeah, I gotta get, I try to like keep, I protect my peace, bro.
I
I
don't
don't,
watch the news, but it's everywhere.
I know, but I try not to consume social media.
Oh,
I
really?
just get, yeah, bro. I'll answer my comments, but like, I try not to doom scroll as much. I try not to, like, if I'm looking for like stuff to like, inspiration, I will, but like, I try not to watch anything that like is, I tried to just kind of stay away from it because what I noticed in 2020 when I was going through all the stuff I did is like life got a lot worse when I paid attention to what they were talking about, and when I unplugged, my life went back to normal, and it was like a beautiful kind of experience. So, like 2020 started off really rough. You know, went through the divorce, went through the change up, lost a bunch of so-called friends and students, and then it's like I was watching the news all the time, and it was just like it was giving me the wrong feelings. So when I unplugged from all that, life just went. I was like, man, it's like all these problems that have been fabricated or manifested or happening or being, given people are giving energy to. When I unplugged, my energy, I protected my peace, man. I was enjoying myself, and I actually had a great, COVID wasn't bad for me when I got through all that stuff and I got to the realization, accepting my new normal and my new life and have a new direction. I loved it. I loved the peace I had. I loved the habits I created. I loved the friendships I was making. I love the life that I created, and I love what it looks like now. And I was able to become a person that polarized my business, polarized myself in a way to repel the people that I don't want to be around. I was too far in the middle. And because I was too far in the middle, what was happening is nobody, I wasn't for anything. I was trying to manage people's emotion. I was trying to manage my academy, manage my students. I was trying to like not be one way or the other because I thought it was better for business to not be on one of the sides. But that was a mistake. And when I got real with what I want to be about, and I realized that it wasn't what other people, we had different views, even with my marriage. I was like, well, this is interesting. And so I knew that I needed to continue down the path of just being who I am, being my most authentic self and polarizing my school. And some people like me, some people don't. And that's totally cool because I ain't for everybody, but I love everybody. That's what I learned, man.
Yeah, when I go to the Philippines, you got to get out there, man. I think
I
you'd
would love
like.
to. I've
I
never
think
been
you'd
there,
like
but
where
I'll
my
come
wife's
out there.
from.
Hey, I have never been there, but I'll go there to see you, bro. To be honest
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you.
Where my wife's from, it's very mountainous, but there's no snow. But it is very mountainous,
Oh, wow,
and
man.
because it's up northern Philippines, it's not like Manila, which has like millions of people.
Yeah, I've heard of
It's
Manila,
a
but I haven't heard of
smaller
the place
area.
you've been. Yeah, when I was in the Navy, we went to Indonesia, we went to Bali, we went to Singapore, we went to Thailand,
Mm.
we went to Malaysia, a few other places, but we went to Australia. That was cool. Um, yeah, we went some places. I've never been to the Philippines, though.
Yeah, it's a different kind of place, man. Like like they don't have no traffic lights, no stop signs, and most Manila does, but a lot of the bigger cities don't. They just kind of get
That's
to
pretty
the
cool.
intersection and they cut each other off, basically.
I bet it's nice there, man. I bet it's
Yeah.
fun. I bet it's peaceful. Well, you want to retire there, so that's definitely you want to spend time and grow there, or live
The
there.
money just goes so much further, man.
Oh
It's
yeah, that'd
just
be nice.
you can have anything you want up there if that's what you want.
If I
There's no jujitsu
well,
up where my wife lives because the kids are just too poor to be training it. There's no
so imagine
school or
so
anything.
imagine like imagine I'm just spitballing. Man, if I get my online stuff paying me the way I want to pay me, like get that online coaching stuff going, all that stuff, who
Yeah,
knows where I could be in the world,
yeah,
but
yeah, it's true.
I tell you this, wherever I end up, if I've got the resources, I'd open up a school and I'd teach for free. If I had the resources and I need money and money wasn't a thing for me, I'll get money done. Maybe I will one day get money done where I don't need to worry about it. I'd open up schools like that. I would teach jujitsu for free. I love jujitsu. So it's not something that I ever wanted to monetize. It just, I needed to do it all the time because I was so into it that I just had to fucking figure out a way to get paid to do it. Open up a school. That's what I did. But
I went to visit these guys that fight One FC. Some of these guys from Baguio. Um,
Mhm.
Baguio's an area of Manny Pacquiao. You trained for most of his boxing matches there. It's a really high elevation.
That's
And
cool.
I was saying, how do you guys drive here? Because where they live, it's very crowded too. And they're just like, you just take your car and you stick it in front of the other car. Like you stick your nose in, and then they can't pass you. They
Oh, that's
have to
like
let you. They have to let you go.
that
Because
kind
you're
of
in front of them already.
that kind of reminded me of Brazil, honestly.
Yeah. Because
The
I'm like, you
driving in
guys have
Brazil
no
is like that.
stoplights, you have no signs. He's just like, stick your nose in front of the other car and they'll let you go. I'm like,
I
all
love
right.
it, man.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
drive there in a million years. Yeah.
Nah, man.
Hell
Nah,
no.
it sounds hectic, but the rest sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good, man. It's good.
Awesome,
Well,
brother.
Steve, it's great talking to you, man. I appreciate you taking all
Absolutely.
this time out. And yeah,
Yeah,
we'll have
man.
to catch up again with Lincoln or something.
Yeah, I'm down, man. If you get Lincoln on there, I'll jump on. It'd be great, man. We
No
can talk
problem.
about some old stories, man. We used to,
Yeah.
man. I remember seeing. I miss that guy. Tell him I said hi.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
tell
let
him
him
too.
know for
But yeah,
sure.
all
All
right,
right,
brother.
everybody. So check out Steve Hordinski. And until next episode, take
All
care.
right, all right.